Hello students and Jai Hind everyone. This is Arashri Solanki from Force Defense Academy, All India Rank 28, here with you with another lecture topic, and today's topic will be Women in AFCAT. Now before we begin, I would like all of you to know that we are introducing new batches in Force Defense Academy from 4th of February, and for more details on this regarding all the fee structures and the timings, you can contact in the number on the description below. Now today's topic is women in armed forces. It is a very interesting and hot topic that has been discussed a lot with the involvement of the Supreme Court, that is the jurisdiction of India as well. So let's begin. In 1888, women were recruited for the Indian military nursing service. It was only in 1992 that women officers were inducted into non-medical roles in the armed forces, but only as short service commission officers. So when was the first time that women were inducted into Indian armed forces? That was in 1992. That was as officers but only as short service commission. ठीक है, तो ये तो हमारा आगे इंट्रोडक्शन पार्ट. अब हमारा जो ब्रीफ पार्ट रहेगा वो ये रहेगा. In 2008, the center granted a permanent commission to women officers only in the legal and education corps. तो जो भी legal और education branches होती हैं उनमें permanent commission women को मिल जाता है. After Supreme Court's intervention in 2019, women can apply for permanent commission in army. तो 2019 में जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने हमारे इंटरवीन किया उसके बाद women को right मिल गया कि वो आर्मी में भी permanent commission के लिए अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. Now the next point. In 2021, with Supreme Court intervention, girls were allowed to write NDA entrance examination for the first time. As the gender barrier is lifted, 178,000 women have applied for the exam. By this, it is evident that now more women than ever are ready for the armed forces. Now, as you all defense aspirant might be aware of, कि 2021 के पहले NDA was only for boys. After the Supreme Court intervened and the gender gap role was taken into consideration, women were also allowed to write NDA, and as per now, for the first time, 178,000 women have applied for NDA, and that is the very big number. Moving on, allowing women in combat roles has been a big debate, not just in India but in the entire world. As of now, only a few countries allow women in combat roles. So, combat roles में भी India is preparing its women armed forces कि combat roles में भी हम जाएं. Recent news भी आई थी कि उसकी तरफ हमारे कुछ practices भी चल रहे हैं. We are training women to enter into combat roles as well, but it is not yet entirely prepared. So there are only few countries in the world जहाँ पे women are also a part in the combat roles. Forces are also opening up combat roles for women. IAF started inducting women as fighter pilots in 2016. ठीक है? The first batch of women as soldiers were inducted into the corps of military police in 2021. ठीक है? तो corps of military police में भी जो first batch of women आई थी वो recently आई थी, that is 2021. So all of these stats is very important if you are there standing to present lecturate on women in armed forces. Now, slowly the situation is changing, but the share of the women workforce in the Indian armed forces is very low. Very low as per say that हम जब भी vacancies देखते हैं तो there are vacancies around 300 for male, but female candidates के लिए vacancies हमेशा होती है 30, 28, 20, 15. Alright, so there is still a gender gap in the vacancies, but we are slowly working on it. Now, as of February 2021, the share of the women workforce in Indian Navy is 6.5%. In Army, it is 0.56%, and in Indian Air Force, it is 1.08%. मतलब अगर ऐसा पूछा जाए कि which is the sector या which is the branch of the defense जिसमें सबसे ज़्यादा women involvement है, that is the Navy, Indian Navy, and the least involvement is in the Army, that is only 0.56%. Now, in the Indian National Army, which was active from 1942 to 1945 under the leadership of Subhash Chandra Bose, there was an all-women regiment. Okay, this is a very important point in India. It was one of the very few all-female combat regiments of the time. तो सबसे पहले all-women combat regiment किसके टाइम पे आया था? जब सुभाष चंद्र बोस जी जो थे हमारे स्वतंत्रता के लिए फाइट कर रहे थे तो उन्होंने women regiment बनाया था जो कि all women था. All right. Now coming to the conclusion. With the help from Supreme Court, women are now allowed in many of the roles in Indian Armed Forces, which were reserved for males earlier. But the share of the women workforce in the Indian Armed Forces is still very low. Okay, So still it is very low, but we are quietly and gradually working on it, and we are finishing the gender gap that is amongst us. So that was all for today on the amazing lecturate video. Stay connected, and we will come with another lecturate video for tomorrow. Jai Hind.